Hey everyone, my name is Desiree Abrokwa, and I'm a product manager under Oracle's Enterprise and Cloud Manageability team. Welcome to today's session on Enterprise Manager for MySQL. Let's take a look at the agenda for this session. I'll first give a quick overview of what Enterprise Manager is. Then I'll get into Enterprise Manager for MySQL, such as discovering MySQL in EM, monitoring and managing alerts for MySQL, and validating compliance across your fleet. At the end of the session, I'll complete an overview demo of these key features in the Enterprise Manager user interface. Let's get started. Oracle Enterprise Manager, or EM, is a comprehensive monitoring and management solution for Oracle applications and technologies such as MySQL, Oracle Database, and Oracle WebLogic Server. Here are the main three focus areas of EM. First is hybrid cloud management. With EM, you can manage your entire IT estate across on-premises and the cloud from a single dashboard. Second is ops automation. We continue to enhance automation in EM to allow for faster problem resolution as well as better compliance and security. Use features like our job system tool to automate management tasks like backing up a database. Third, we have extensibility. We enable you to operate across environments that are constantly changing and support many different technologies. For instance, enterprises usually deploy multiple tools for management and monitoring purposes. So it's important that tools are extensible and interoperate well with these third-party tools. With EM, you can integrate with other third-party tools such as ServiceNow, Microsoft SCUM, and Slack. Now let's transition into how you can use Enterprise Manager for MySQL. Enterprise Manager provides comprehensive monitoring and compliance management for your MySQL databases running on-premises or in the cloud. Let's take a look at a few of the key monitoring and compliance management features available. Enterprise Manager for MySQL allows you to monitor MySQL status, response, and performance using home pages, use Query Analyzer to monitor slow-running queries, standardize metric threshold settings across your MySQL fleet with monitoring templates, and also manage MySQL alerts by creating incidents on actionable events and using event compression to reduce incident volume. In addition to monitoring, you can also safeguard your MySQL databases. Use out-of-box MySQL compliance standards to evaluate compliance against configuration and security best practices. Monitor compliance scores and violations across the MySQL fleet in the compliance dashboard. And utilize our evaluation report for recommended remediations for violations. I'll complete a deeper dive into these key features in the upcoming slides. Enterprise Manager for MySQL currently supports MySQL 5.7 and 8.0 plus versions. It is licensed with MySQL Enterprise Edition or MySQL Cluster Carrier Grade Edition. For information on pricing, please refer to the MySQL Global Price List. Let's begin with MySQL Discovery. I'll first review how to download the MySQL plugin in EM, then I'll discuss how you can discover the MySQL target for monitoring. You can download the MySQL plugin to monitor your MySQL databases from the self-update page in EM. This page is where you can get information on new features available from Oracle, such as whenever a new MySQL plugin is released. You can download the plugin in an online or an offline mode. Online means you can use internet connectivity to download the plugin for MyOracle support, also known as MOS, or if you're unable to use internet connectivity to connect to MOS, then you can choose to manually download the plugin in an offline mode. After downloading the plugin, apply it to EM by simply clicking the Apply button. In this example, the MySQL plugin has already been downloaded and applied to EM, hence the grayed out buttons. After the plugin has been downloaded, deploy it on the Oracle Management Service, OMS, and then on the agent. Plugins work hand in hand with the OMS and agents to discover, monitor, and manage targets. And targets are entities that can be managed and monitored in EM, such as host machines, MySQL, or Exadata. You can access the plugins page directly from the self-update page or navigate to it from the setup menu icon. The plugin supports auto discovery, which will automatically search for all the MySQL databases that are not yet monitored on managed hosts, so you can easily add them for monitoring. Once all unmonitored MySQL databases are discovered, you can promote them to begin monitoring. This is an example of the auto discovery results in EM. As you can see, there are 2 MySQL targets discovered on the host, and you can decide which MySQL databases from the list to promote for monitoring. You can also choose to manually specify MySQL database details for discovery. For the manual discovery process, you have to specify monitoring properties such as the target name, monitoring credentials, the host, and port. EM also allows you to specify target property values like the lifecycle status to classify your MySQL target as mission critical or development. The lifecycle status is used to prioritize handling of data in EM when it is under heavy load, so you can use this to ensure your most important MySQL targets are managed at highest priority. In addition to auto discovery and manual discovery, you can also add targets for discovery using the Enterprise Manager command line interface, also known as EM-CLI. Now that the MySQL target has been discovered and promoted, monitoring immediately begins. We will take a look at how to monitor using the target homepage in Query Analyzer. Then I'll show how to view metrics and modify alert thresholds. After, I'll discuss key incident management capabilities. Use the MySQL homepage to get a holistic summary of the overall health and performance of your database. On the upper left, you can see the availability statistics for the target over the past 24 hours to monitor when the target is up and down and its current status. Under that, there is an easily accessible configuration summary with information such as the host, database version, and MySQL port. On the right side are some key performance metrics such as the response time, statement activity, connections, and InnoDB buffer pool usage. View the number of statements that are executed against the database, which may help you to correlate if a spike in statements has affected the response time. Lastly, track critical incidents on the MySQL target and use drillable links to access our Incident Manager console to further triage and resolve the incidents. After seeing an overview of the performance metrics, such as statement activity on the home page, you may want to take a closer look at the statements and queries on the database through Query Analyzer. Query Analyzer shows a point-in-time snapshot of the top 100 queries and statements ran against your database based on total latency. This is especially useful to monitor any slow-running queries that could be impacting your application performance. Some details of the query you can view are the number of executions, the number of full table scans performed by the query, and the query's average latency. Please note, this image in the slide only captures a subset of the details you can view for Query Analyzer and EM. EM for MySQL provides over 600 MySQL metrics for query activity, InnoDB buffer pool usage, replication activity, and more. Use the All Metrics page to view a list of all the metrics that you are monitoring and the metric history. You can also use this to complete a deep dive into the individual metrics that were displayed on the home page. Review metric information such as the metric's last known value and the warning and critical thresholds defined for it. Notice that a metric graph is also provided. Whenever the metric passes the warning threshold, the graph is highlighted in yellow, and whenever the metric passes the critical threshold, the graph is highlighted in red. This helps to show the trend of the metric as it passes the thresholds. EM provides default thresholds out of the box, but you can modify them to fit your enterprise needs. As I just mentioned, you may be interested in adjusting your monitoring settings per your requirements. So in addition to the All Metrics page, there is also the Metric and Collection Settings page for individual targets where you can make adjustments to the metrics you want to monitor. From here, you can enable or disable metrics for collection, adjust warning and critical thresholds of a metric so that if the thresholds are passed, this will raise an alert and create an incident in the Incident Manager console. Change the collection schedule, which is how often the metric data is collected, or attach corrective actions to metrics to auto-resolve issues. For instance, you can create a corrective action to bring up the MySQL database when it is down and attach it to the availability status metric. After modifying your monitoring settings to your standards, you have the ability to create a monitoring template. This monitoring template will allow you to standardize the monitoring settings that you set for that one MySQL target and apply it to the other MySQL targets that you would like to have the same monitoring settings. This is so you don't have to continuously readjust the monitoring settings for all other like MySQL targets. You can apply the template to your fleet of MySQL targets using the user interface or using EM-CLI. While EM provides over 600 out-of-box MySQL metrics to monitor, it may not satisfy your enterprise need. As a result, we have metric extensions that allow you to create custom metrics for your specific requirements. You can use the OWASP command adapter to connect to MySQL for metric extensions. Our metric extensions support the full development lifecycle, meaning you can develop and edit the metric as needed, test that it works properly, then publish it for use by other admins and deploy the metrics to your MySQL fleet. Once created, it will be treated the same way as regular EM metrics. For instance, you can modify alert thresholds on the metric or attach corrective actions to auto-resolve the metric alert. Now let's switch gears to how you can manage your MySQL alerts using EM's incident management capabilities. First step is to use incidents to focus on actionable alerts. Incidents in EM are essentially tickets that contain one or more actionable alerts or other events. You should manage events at an incident level, which supports assigning an owner to the incident, tracking resolution status, and more. Automate actions on these events and incidents with incident rules. Incident rule sets typically contain the following: targets, event rules, or incident rules. Use event rules to send email notifications on events, create incidents that use event compression, or send SNMP traps to external systems. Use incident rules to assign ownership of an incident, set incident priority, send notifications to Slack or webhook supported integrations such as Microsoft Teams, or open tickets on incidents. As your enterprise grows, so may the volume of incidents you receive. Therefore, it's important to reduce the number of incidents. Event compression in general reduces incident volume by compressing related events into incidents. In EM, event compression policies state the condition in which multiple correlated events are grouped together in a single incident. Oracle provides a library of event compression policies that you can use based on common scenarios, but you can also choose to author your own policies as well. These policies work with your event rules in your incident rule sets as long as you enable the option to use event compression policies. Let's review how these policies work. For example, assume there is a user-created policy that correlates and groups or compresses target down events for all MySQL databases on the same host. Let's say you have an incident rule set with a rule to create an incident for all target down events for your production group, which includes your MySQL databases. In your rule, make sure you also choose the option to use event compression policies. If the MySQL databases go down, each of these will generate a target down event. Before creating an incident, EM will first check to see if there is a matching event compression policy. If found, it will correlate and compress the events into one incident. So you'll end up with one incident containing 3 events instead of 3 incidents containing 1 event each. After incidents have been created, you can manage them from Incident Manager. Incident Manager is a way to manage, diagnose, and resolve incidents all in a single location. From here, you can track the incident lifecycle from creation to resolution. Let's take a look into the different elements of an incident. First are the incident details. This shows information such as the target the incident was created on, when the incident was created, and a summary of what the incident is. Next is the metric data region, which shows the trend of the metric before and after it triggered the incident and compares the metric value against your warning and critical thresholds. In the tracking section, you can acknowledge the incident, assign ownership, escalate it, or leave comments. From here, you can also choose to manually open tickets to other systems such as ServiceNow and Jira. Please note, you can also automate opening tickets to these systems using incident rule sets, which I previously discussed. In the guided resolution section, you can manually add corrective actions to resolve the incident. Additionally, you can also start dynamic runbooks against the incident. Dynamic runbooks are ordered steps with the best practices to resolve issues, and they are typically created by the subject matter experts on your team. Now that we have covered key monitoring features and incident management capabilities, let's review compliance management, which includes MySQL compliance standards and a compliance dashboard. Safeguard your MySQL databases by checking compliance against configuration and security best practices. EM provides out-of-box standards on MySQL replication, administration, security, schema, and performance. Here's an example of compliance evaluated on an individual MySQL target. You can view the count of violations based on their severity, such as minor and critical violations, and also view the average compliance score. This database is mostly compliant, meeting almost 100% compliance across all the standards. Drill down further from this page into specific standards to see the exact violations. Here's a drill down into the administration standard for the previous MySQL database. You can view a quick summary of the violation. According to the summary, there is one minor warning violation related to the binary log debug information rule. You can access a list of all the other rules that exist within the standard, but notice that the binary log debug information rule is flagged with a caution icon to indicate that it has a violation. Once you click the next tab for violation events, it shows exactly where the violation occurred. In this example, there is a binary log configuration parameter that is currently disabled, and this is what triggered the minor warning violation on the rule. This last tab on the rule details goes in depth about the violation that occurred and the recommendation on how to remediate the violation. For this example, there is an issue because writing informational log events to the binary log was not enabled, and the best practice is to enable it. This is because the informational log events that are written to the binary log can be used for debugging and related purposes. Now that you've seen how to evaluate the compliance on an individual MySQL database level, let's see how to evaluate across your MySQL fleet using the compliance dashboard. From the compliance dashboard, view details such as the number of targets evaluated against the compliance standards, percentage of critical warning and minor warnings, any open security alerts which have drillable links into the Incident Manager console for further triage, the overall distribution of the compliance scores for the standards, and a compliance summary for an overview of the compliant versus non-compliant MySQL targets per standard, which also has drillable links for more information. Now let's switch to the overview demo of EM for MySQL. Let's take a look at these capabilities in the EM UI. To get to a list of your MySQL databases, select Targets and All Targets. This page shows a list of all the targets in your enterprise. In the left pane, locate the filter for the MySQL database and select it. Here you will see a filtered target list to only view your MySQL targets. Let's select one of the databases to view more. Here is the MySQL homepage where you can get a holistic summary of the overall health and performance of your database. For instance, You can view the availability history to see the current status of the database and its status over the last 24 hours. Monitor key performance metrics such as connections to MySQL, which allow you to quickly view unusual spikes in the number of connections to your database. Or monitor for DB buffer pool usage, which lets you view the percentage of dirty buffer pool pages to see when it's close to capacity. And lastly, from here you can track critical incidents and drill down to the Incident Manager console to further triage. Here is an example of a MySQL metric alert incident. On the left, view incident details such as the incident summary and the event type. According to the summary, the incident was triggered because the percentage of max connections allowed to the MySQL database was at 66%, which surpassed predefined metric thresholds. There is also a metric data graph where you can view when the spike in the connections occurred, which helps you to further triage the issue. On the right, you can complete actions such as acknowledging the incident, running corrective actions to automate resolution, accessing diagnostic information to help resolve your incident, or starting runbooks against the incident. Now let's go back to the MySQL homepage to view Query Analyzer. To get to Query Analyzer, let's select the menu option and then Query Analyzer. Query Analyzer is a point-in-time snapshot of the top 100 queries and statements on your MySQL database. This is useful to pinpoint any slow-running queries based on the total latency. Here, you can view other details such as the number of executions, average latency, and the number of rows returned. Next, let's switch gears to view how compliance management works in EM for MySQL. To get to the compliance dashboard, select Enterprise, Compliance, and Dashboard. You can view the compliance for MySQL on a per-target basis through the Targets homepage or across a fleet of MySQL targets through this compliance dashboard. Let's take a look at the results of evaluating the standards against the databases. From this dashboard, let's filter for the MySQL targets. You can track the number of MySQL targets evaluated, percentages of critical and warning violations, and the number of open security incidents. Based on the 2 targets evaluated, the average compliance score is between 80% and 99%. You can additionally gain access to a full compliance evaluation report that enumerates each violation for a standard and the recommended remediation. Let's quickly recap everything that you have learned from this session. Using EM for MySQL, you can automatically discover your MySQL fleet with auto discovery, get quick insight into the health and performance of MySQL with home pages, monitor slow-running queries using Query Analyzer, customize MySQL monitoring per enterprise requirements, manage MySQL alerts and send notifications, and ensure compliance of your MySQL fleet against configuration and security best practices. To get started, please refer to the following documentation and blog. Thanks for joining me on today's session on Enterprise Manager for MySQL.